microphone, please, Cindy?
Of course.
It's on. You're all good.
Is that okay? Yeah, I hear you.
You're all good.
So actually, I turned it down. And my agent said, no, you gotta do this. I said, I don't want somebody in a dark theater in some weird state going, that looks like a good idea, and try to chop somebody up. I said, no, no, no. She said, no, no, please, you've got to do it. This is really important. And I thank her every day of my life.
Yeah.
I mean, it is the gift that keeps on giving. It's been such a treasure to me and such an important part of my life. And my family. This is my fam.
Yes. Well, Amanda and I were in the room together doing an audition for Wes Craven, who we've never met before, and we did the scene together. Yeah. And we sat next to each other on a little couch, and they told us that she was going to play Tina and I would play Nancy, because everyone read for Nancy at the time. And I think Mandy was like, oh.
Just for a minute, I was at home.
She was like, oh, I want to be Nancy. But anyway, we did it, and we didn't know each other at all. And after we did our scene, Wes Craven said, well, congratulations, girls, you got the part.
Oh.
And that never happens, ever. And it's never happened again, and it probably never will happen for anybody, because now that you have to make decisions through so many committees and 900 people have to sign off on it, and
You have to have so many followers.
and you have to have your deal already set up, and you have to have your Instagram followers. But that was the good old days, and it was super fun.
Well, no, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? I'll let you know my legs. I was telling her my legs are so short, I have to I can't touch the ground.
Are they touching?
Yeah, now they are.
Barely.
I'm like slouch. Okay, no, I was just the opposite of these young ladies. I had 7 auditions, and each one, and I'm afraid of horror movies. I love them if I watch them, but I'm terrified of them, especially at the time. And so they're like, come back. And Rennie's like, don't wear makeup. But I was like, 18, 19 years old.
Makeup. Yeah.
So I took a little bit off and a little bit off, and finally the last audition, he's like, if you don't come in with no makeup, then you will not get this part. I was up for another part as a series regular on A Different World with Daryl. Oh, by the way, I have a picture. And so basically, I was like, okay, fine. I did no makeup, and they're like, great. And I left, and I still didn't get a phone call for a month. So I was like, okay, I didn't get that. And my agent calls me. She's like, guess what? You got the part. And I thought it was A Different World. She said, no, you got Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm like, those fuckers, man. Okay, what are we doing? So that was it. That's how I got it.
You go because Heather.
My story's been told.
But what did you do after you got the part?
Well,
She was so famous already. She'd done so
That's
many.
right.
She had done so many big parts.
That's
So
right.
she probably had to actually think about it.
well, Wes sold me on it though, because he really talked it up big. He's like, you're gonna be like Janet Leigh and all this stuff. And so my ego was like, yes. And so I went with it. But I think at the time, we had the same agent, I think.
Maybe.
At some point we
Maybe.
did. And they did not want me to do it.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, and
It was really a bad career move to do Nightmare on Elm Street back
Yeah.
then. It was
Yeah.
not.
Slasher movie.
It was not
Yeah,
a good
it's-
idea.
No.
it wasn't a tried and true franchise.
Or a career move. Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
become a franchise until really like the third movie.
Yeah.
The second one was kind of a fluky, like a
Yeah.
sequel that no one ever really had heard about doing sequels to horror
Yeah.
movies.
And the third one was so badass. Jennifer?
Jennifer was so
Yeah. You were amazing.
I'll give a big shout out to Annette Benson,
Oh, yeah.
who was the sweetest, most encouraging, supportive woman, and just an amazing judge of character. I mean, I could tell you things that I was talking to Chuck at Robert's Star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and I said, did you know that my dad was a pharmacist and I get chased by needles? Did you know that Penelope's father was a famous soap star and her head goes through a TV set?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Did you know blah blah about Ira and he's in a wheelchair? Did you? And he goes, I did not know that. So I just have to really say something, you know, and Heather is such, it's like if Freddy's the father of all of us, Heather's the mother of all of us. And she takes such good care of us, and, you know, nobody can really be replaced. And their roles are completely secure within the fiber of their beings, and it's a wonderful thing to be a part of.
Yeah.
So another question for all of you. Do you remember your first day on the set and when you first became comfortable with doing the film?
I don't know if it was my first day, and I've told the story before because it really opened my eyes, and I really began to understand what my agent was so excited about. I was on the set, and there was a lot of hubbub with the costume designer and the director and the producer. They were all kind of mugged together, and there was a lot of animation. I thought, I wonder what's going on. You know, Dora the Explorer's got to find out everything. So it turns out someone had actually broken into the stage and stole Freddy's sweater. Now, they always have backups, so that wasn't a problem. But what I thought, someone is risking jail time, prison time for breaking and entering to steal an ugly ass sweater? I'm into something big.
My biggest memories of the first days were like having really frizzy hair, and like they didn't have really any products or things like to make your hair curl nicely, or you know, they would spritz water on it kind of, but the only product they had was like hairspray, which you know, you don't want to spray your hair when it's already really wild. And so I remember like Wes and the makeup artist and the hairstylist, they were just kind of like, well, maybe we just let it go like this, and I always felt so self-conscious about it, and Wes would always say, get that hair out of the shot, you know, like, because it was always in my face. And so the first few days I felt like, oh, he hates me because of my big hair. And then later on, you know, it just got bigger and bigger. By the end, it's just like this giant total mess. But that, you know, when you're 18, you're just so self-conscious about everything. And so that was the thing that was like kind of gripping me in the first few days. I thought, oh, what can we do about this dang hair? It's so trivial, but you know, that's what you're thinking.
Of course,
about,
at 18, yeah. You know, my first day on set wasn't my shoot day. Rennie Harlan had got us all together, and his thing was to make sure that we were friends really on screen. So he would do these like little parties, and we would all get together every weekend prior to shooting. So then everyone, you know, we did our first day was not with Robert. We kind of were at Venice High School. But my first day that I remember on set, I wasn't shooting, and Tuesday night called me and was like, hey, we're in San Pedro. You know, the scene where the claws are going through the sand. And I was like, oh, okay. She's like, why don't you come down? I was like, sure, I'll go down. So I showed up, and it's just me, Tuesday, and Robert inside this old Winnebago type round, you know, like I Love Lucy. And we were in there, and K-Rock had just, which is a huge radio station in LA, and they had just announced that Robert Englund from Freddy Krueger was in San Pedro. And we were like, oh, wow, that's really cool. And some crew member told us. And next thing you know, we couldn't leave the trailer because it started rocking. No. And we looked out the window, and there was thousands of people around. Now again, I didn't know much about, I never saw 1, I never saw 2, and next thing I didn't see 3, and next thing we're rocking inside this thing, and I was like, oh my God, this is like rock star, you know? And that's when I was like, okay, I could do this. And Robert was like, all right, you guys, let's talk about Shakespeare. You know, what happens in this moment? And I was like, are you kidding me? There's crowds out there. So that was my first non-shoot day, yeah.
That is epic.
Yeah, it really was.
But that's like, 4 was when it just was crazy.
And the MTV generation,
yes.
Did they show a lot of like nightmare stuff on MTV? I'm just curious. Yes, because Dramarama was huge. You know, I'll give you pennies, give you, and so they would always show the nightmare, and that became synonymous with
And
our four.
also, Dokken was the first band to ever have a movie like a song in a movie on MTV. That was the first place it happened.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, it was about Dokken, and other than that, they had never used movie footage
In a video.
in a music video.
I did not know that.
And that's
Interesting.
part of why I went bananas.
I like police.
And you're
My first day, I don't exactly remember, but the two things I remember most from when we were filming was in between takes, you and I would sit on the steps and do crossword puzzle together every day.
That was yeah.
So our goal was just to finish
The
the
LA
cross-
Times has a little crossword puzzle.
Yeah, and we would finish it by the end of the day.
Mandatory.
And then also sitting in the makeup trailer in the morning, and
Well, it was a room, remember? It was like
Oh,
a room
yeah.
at,
that's at the
at
studio.
Designated Studios, which is where Lucille Ball made all of the, I Love Lucy's, and so I think my dressing room was Lucille Ball's dressing
It
room. And it
was.
was really old and completely tattered dressing room, very bare bones, like, they didn't
Yeah.
have anything, just like maybe a folding chair and a little mirror, that was it, and that was the dressing room, but it had once been this glorious studio, and in the 80s, it had completely fallen into disrepair, like everything in Hollywood. And they had gotten a really cheap deal to rent out those stages that we built all of our stages on. So I got to know that whole stage area really well, and I would wander around, and I imagine I was meeting Lucille Ball in there.
Was that on 3?
That was on 1. Yeah, there was now it's been renovated and it's a really fancy studio again. It's like they
Yeah.
call it Sunset
Is it
Las
Sun-
Palmas.
Oh,
I think.
Sunset. It's not
I think
Sunset
it's
Gower. It's Sunset Las
Yeah, it's
Palmas.
Sunset Las Palmas. Yeah.
Yeah, I just have such fond memories of just I don't know, walking around in there and stuff, and the makeup trailers in the morning, or the makeup room, because Robert's makeup took like 5 hours.
And he was in a little separate area.
Yeah, but we'd all sit there, and he would remember him just telling stories though over things.
I must not have been there because I don't remember that.
It's so funny. It happened.
It did. I know. I think I was working probably.
You were probably
I
working.
know,
You were busy.
I felt like I was working all the time.
You were always on set, always.
And people describe going to parties after work, and I'm like, I don't remember going to a party. Like, I don't think I had enough time to go to a party at night.
You were in everything with us.
Yeah. I missed out.
And for
Yeah.
me, I can only tell you that I actually remember like a map of the rooms, like when you would enter downtown LA and in some big huge loft, there was the padded room where it had the feathers. I remember that, and then you walk down a little bit, and then there's the pig that was rotting, and then there was Ira's, the Wizard Master's hallway. They were building those. There's very practical sets all over the place. And then
where you got killed was like they just made like a little wall that looked like an alleyway. Remember they made a brick wall that
oh yeah.
that was just it wasn't even maybe
No,
4
it was
feet
like
wide. It was not even. It was like that.
big, yeah.
It was like
It was
that
that
big
big.
with bricks. And
Yeah.
that was where Taryn died.
And I didn't really read the script, so that so that when that thing slams behind me, I was like, oh, I guess I'm going this way. And then I see the bum, and I'm thinking, oh, that's Freddy down there? And then it was to throw me off, and then I go, and I keep on going, and then Freddy comes out, and I was just like, God, I should read those parts in between my lines.
Yeah, the direction.
Yeah, the direction, yeah. Have some, yeah.
So I got to ask you about working with Robert. Any good behind-the-scenes stories, or any scene that made the scary stuff a little more fun?
Yeah, I have one story with Robert. So I was doing 4. This is my first day on 4, and very confused, as I had been decapitated the year before. So I'm standing there with Robert, and I said, I don't understand. You killed me in 3, right? And he said, yeah. I said, you decapitated me. She said, yeah. I said, so why am I here? I mean, trying to be like not aggressive about the question. And he looked at me, he said, Brooke, and I said, yes. He said, shut up.
See, to me, it made perfect sense because you had your head cut off in Kristen's dream. So that wasn't really reality for you.
Right, that
was
was
it.
finally explained to
Okay,
me.
great.
I was
Yeah.
so confused.
I know, it's hard to understand that on Elm Street when you really get down to brass tacks on it. I know. Oh my gosh, so many episodes with Robert. I have to say, our fight scenes that we did were always the one time when I had to just trust Robert Englund implicitly with, everything, because his knives are often the real knives, so that he could clack them. And they wanted to have the real sound effects with them, so he would wear the real knives in some of our fight scenes, and then they would switch to the rubber knives for other parts of the fight scene. And we were, rolling over the bed and doing all this stuff, and he always, would tell me, "Look there, Heather. The camera's gonna love you there." And then he would he just would dance me around the room, and it was like I always say it was like Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. He was always like spinning me and lifting me, and it was kind of like being a ballerina. You just have this partner who is making you look good all the time, and that was even Nightmare 1 and 7, we had a lot of fight scenes that Robert completely took control and created all of our moves. So that's my best stories with Robert. I love those days.
We had a writer's strike happen 2 days before we started to film. So, we usually have a writer on set, but we didn't have anyone. And so Bob Shea, the owner of New Line Cinema, would come down to set, and Rennie and Robert would huddle. It's like, okay, and break. And they knew what the plan was, but I didn't know what the plan was. I was my first feature film. I had no clue what we were doing. And I just remember the week that I was filming my practicals, because it took a whole week for that death scene. There was all these different elements. And they stuck us in a warehouse as big as, in Valencia. So it's a huge warehouse, and they built these little sets. So I had my classroom scene as big as this, but I couldn't see what's next door to me. And they'd be like, okay, toy, action. And they did the thing in the desk, and they, okay, cut. And they go, shh. Oh, don't say. And then I hear, Joey, action. And I'm like, and you hear water splashing, and a girl writhing, okay, cut. And then they had Kincaid up on the wall, a stunt double. And I just saw this black man falling. And I was like, oh, I guess it's when he gets sucked out of the chair. It was like the set was turned sideways. And it was my first time understanding that, oh, this is how they're, and they did this round robin.
But was there a camera at each set?
I had, every camera had, because it was our B-roll days. And so it took a week for B-roll. And in my call sheet, which I have, because I have my script still, we shot the movie in 40 days. So all of the practicals and the actual was in 40 days. And my final was, I heard Brooke Thies down the way, and I hear, okay, Brooke, make cockroach noises. And I was like, okay, this is fucking insane. Because I'd never done a feature. And next thing I know, I hear Brooke going, help! And I was like, okay, this is fucking crazy. And that was when so we did our specials when Robert came in. He's just like, these are the real gloves. And I had prick marks underneath my entire chin.
For that day.
Because they were extreme close up.
Right.
And I was just like, okay, I'm done with this. I can't be tortured anymore. They're like, all right, go to lunch. Came back. He didn't brush his teeth. He put his dentures in, and they didn't fit well. And so I said no, and they all fell in my mouth, and with all the gunk. And I was like, I'm done. I'm done. That's what I remember. My first on-screen kiss. So gross.
You know what? I don't have a specific memory of that time working with Robert, other than that I really just enjoyed it, and he was so intense about some things and so fun about other things, and I was so young, it just made me feel really I'd just come out of acting school, and I just felt like I was working with this dynamo who was making me, really exercise all the things I'd learned in school. And so I just very fondly think of, because he's very interesting and challenging, and he was always doing something different, and just remember fondly, like, I was like, this is why I went to school, to work with actors like this.
Yeah.
I met Robert when he was doing V. And back in the day, your agent or your manager would walk you around the, by cinemas and stuff, and you'd happen to bump into other people's managers and agents and stuff like that. And my manager, his manager, him and I, and they said, oh, he's gonna be a star. And then lo and behold, probably 2-3 years later, I don't know how long from V to Nightmare 3 was, but there he is. And I'm working with them, and I guess I used to write messages to him in red lipstick on his mirror. He reminded me, and I thought, oh my God, I smoke too much. I was gonna say just kidding, but you know me better than that. But yeah, so then he would, he was always in makeup, and then we did the stunt, the fight scene, and you have to choreograph that. And part of me wasn't really that professional, maybe still not that professional, but when he came at me, he got me really good, and I thought, I'm gonna kill him. And I went and I actually stabbed him in his armpit. And they didn't say cut or anything. We finished the scene and stuff like this, and then it was like cut, and then like hush. And I was like, he was coming for me, because you just blow through all your, your training and stuff like that, because I was just a kid, but I didn't hurt him, because, and it doesn't matter really, because when he was doing Iris, the Wizard Master, he had to have the real glove, and it had to go into a wooden plank in his chest, and Ira didn't like that. So anyway, what goes around comes around.
Got one more question for you before we take it to the audience. I'd like to talk about, was there a premiere? Were you at a premiere? Or what was it like sitting in the audience for the first time, watching it and hearing all the hubbub with what goes on with the crowd?
I wasn't there.
Okay. When have you seen it? In the theater with other people?
No, I saw it at a small screening. I saw it well after it came out. I'm very weird about seeing myself. I don't like it. So finally someone said, I think you should see it. I said, okay. And I saw it. And the thing that got me was how good it was. And all the actresses and actors in it were really good. It wasn't hokey, it wasn't weird, it was really good. And the lines worked. I mean, my favorite line to this day is, welcome to primetime, bitch. I love that line.
So great, it's all of our dreams, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so it was, it took me a long time.
Yeah, the first time you have to realize that nobody knew what Nightmare on Elm Street was, so we got invited to a small, very small screening room, a quarter of the size of this room, to see it. And it was at Warner Brothers in one of their kind of side rooms. And by the time that we got there were no seats. And remember
The fire marshal wouldn't let us in.
Wouldn't let us in. And so we were sitting in the aisle, like we just camped out on like one of the steps, like on the aisles. And it was me, you, and Johnny, and Nick. Was he there?
So basically, everyone that was in the movie, they didn't let us in the room.
Marshal Bill came in and was like, you can't. And so we left, and I remember that Nick Cage was there, and we all just was like, oh well, screw it, who cares? And so we didn't see the movie the night that it showed that night, and then I went and saw it. I just remember seeing it in Oakland. I probably saw it in several places, but I couldn't believe that the audience would talk back to the screen. Right. And I couldn't believe, like, when Ronnie Blakely would grab the vodka out of the towel closet, everyone would be like, you go get that, girl! And it was just like, every line had someone talking back, and I thought, oh, this is fun, this is great. And it was like the funnest movie experience I'd ever been to, People were just so into it,
Yeah, we, because Rennie made that friendship bond, and we're still friends to this day, all of us. So we all decided to wear our Nightmare on Elm Street jacket because they gave us as a Letterman's jacket, the leather and it says Nightmare on the back, and we all had our name, and so we all went wearing our jackets to Westwood, and no one recognized us. But naturally, why would they? We
haven't seen the movie yet.
They hadn't seen the movie, so we go and we sneak in the back row, and it's me, Brooke, Andras, Lisa, Tuesday, and we're just kind of like in the back row, and that was our biggest thing, was people were like, oh my God, no, don't kill her. And I was like, you don't want me dead? Okay, this is great. And that we had and I think because we were lucky as 4 because you guys did the groundwork for us, you know. And
We did not get a t-shirt or a sweatshirt.
I was just
or
gonna
any swag or anything.
We got nothing.
I got it.
We didn't even
I
get
got
a
it.
baseball cap.
No, not even.
bag that had
And we took the huge crew photo without Heather. The guy who made bagels in the morning was in the photo, but not Heather. We were very disorganized in the first one.
Well, they would, yeah, when we had this lunch hour, they would say, do you want to go out on your own and you have a half an hour to get your own food?
And you'll
Or
$10.
you can, we'll come and bring you a hot dog or something. And so I didn't ever want to have to get undressed and put in my street clothes and then go to the restaurant and come back. So I usually got a tuna sandwich or something. And so I'm sitting there like eating my tuna sandwich in my room, in Lucille Ball's dressing room. And then someone comes in and it's like, oh, you missed the cast photo. And I'm like, oh, thanks for coming and getting me. Like, I'm right here. It was such a bummer. I know. It was such a
Well, I was with Heather when we didn't get to see the movie, and then I did go to Westwood to see it, but it was sold out. And then I tried one other time to see it, it was sold out, and I was like, screw it.
I'm not going to see it.
Yeah, I'm not going to see it. So the first time I ever saw it on the big screen was with you it was either at the Egyptian or in Chicago.
What?
Yeah, I'd never seen it on this big screen. I'd only seen it on VHS. So
That was not that long ago.
I know, I've just never seen it. But what did happen that same Halloween, I was down at my mom's house handing out candy to kids, and every other kid was a Freddy. And that's when I went, oh my gosh, people love this movie, and it hadn't been out very long. And so I, of course, was like, oh my God, I'm in that movie. And they're like, yeah, sure. I was like, no, really, I'm Tina. Yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
So I was like, you little shits. No candy for you. The $2. My $2. Yeah, they switched it up to that, and then we were fine.
And I didn't see it, but I did 3 times. Somebody jumped out of the bushes and grabbed pieces of my hair out of my head. I can't believe it. Yeah, I didn't know what was going on, and they, stalkers really started in like 1987, 88, and I had no idea what was going on. But it was like people would pull my hair.
Because they wanted you to have like your mohawk hair?
Well, no, just me normally, but
Oh.
they knew who Taryn was.
And they wanted a piece of your
wanted
lock
some
of your
my
hair?
Well, that makes sense.
So but it happened like 3 times, and then there was Joan London who said something that in the New York screening they had police on mounted horses like beating the people back from the theater. I mean, people were crazy. Yeah, and I got over it, but
But didn't we see Nightmare on 3 in Hollywood at the Paramount, or one of the theaters in?
No, I wasn't. I was somewhere
I can't remember
else.
where.
I might have been in Europe. I don't know
Maybe.
where I was at the time that it came out.
Yeah.
But yeah, because I can't.
So let's get some questions from the audience.